Today we are answering the age-old question of should you post the same content on more than one social media platform? We are going through all things repurposing, how to actually do this effectively and how to actually see results on that platform that you are wanting to repurpose to. So we're going to answer the question, should you post the same content on more than one social media platform? The first thing I want to say is repurposing is amazing. It saves you so much time, so much energy, and it can just be a really great strategy overall to really show up on more than one platform to just really get results. And also, sometimes it can leave you feeling a bit like this because you're not really seeing the results that you're wanting from repurposing a lot of the times. A lot of times it will look like we'll create our content with one platform in mind and then throw it onto another platform, hoping that, it's going to get us some traction, of course, because we're doing an extra platform, right? So why would it not? But oftentimes it won't really work the same. So in 90% of cases, I would say you should not just be blanket sharing the same content on more than one platform. I'm going to walk you through why that is the case, give you my full argument for that, and then what you can be doing instead to actually repurpose really, really effectively. So the first thing to really note is that every platform has a unique blueprint and different content does better on different platforms. It's just a fact, unfortunately. Even when it looks the same on paper, so looking at Instagram Reels and TikToks, for example, there are different types of content which just suit better for TikTok than suit better for Instagram. So if you were to put the exact same post up on those two platforms, they're not going to perform in the same way. They're always going to perform differently. And what most people tend to do when they're thinking about repurposing and they're thinking about, okay, do I want to incorporate another platform? Do I want to repurpose this to another platform? They will actually look at it from the perspective of creating via one platform. So for example, create it with Instagram in mind and then throw it over to TikTok, hoping for results. And this won't really serve the same effect because if you are doing this, typically you're doing it for the reason of either A, wanting to grow an audience there with new eyes, new people, new traffic, and this is not going to be attracting people in the best way possible. As we've said, it's never going to get the reach as if you had created content specifically for that platform. But then secondly, it's not even doing the second purpose, which it could have, of serving as an extra place for the people that you have and almost a, second place where they can just see more of you and get more content from you and just be more exposed to your brand. Because if they are that engaged, they've already seen the content on the original platform anyway. So it's just doubling it for them essentially. So it really doesn't serve a purpose if we are just blanket throwing it across. It's really not getting our results. So if you actually ask yourself, looking at repurposing, what is actually your goal with this? What is the point in you repurposing at all? Why are you even thinking about this? Because if you're looking at it in this way, if you are not reaching new people with that reshared content, and also it's not serving as a second platform for your existing audience to just get more exposure to you, what is the point here? What is the point of what we're doing? And I would always say, if you don't actually have any time or energy for another platform, don't do another platform. It is completely fine. You are totally good really focusing on one platform. I, up until the last year, have just purely focused on Instagram. That business has been my full-time income for the last 2.5 years just from Instagram. So it really can be simple. It doesn't need to be complicated. If you don't have time or energy for another platform, don't stress about trying to just throw everything up on another platform just for the sake of having another platform. But also repurposing can be really helpful. So don't panic. You can repurpose this. I'm not saying do not repurpose at all. I'm a big fan of repurposing, but we want to do it in the right way. So we can all be relieved here. I'm just going to tell you now how we can actually do this well. So if you are going to add another platform, you want it to add to your brand. You don't want it to just be another place we throw things onto, but we want it to actually contribute towards what you're building. We want it to actually positively add to your reputation among your current audience. We want it to positively add to the number of people which are seeing your content, so the traffic which is coming in. And we can do that really easily with slight shifts in the content. We don't need a complete brand new content strategy necessarily for TikTok if we're going to TikTok from Instagram Reels. We don't need to do brand new content necessarily, but also we don't want to just throw up the same old content and hope for the best. You can still really focus on the same types of content, but we want to shift it for that environment. So we want to really keep in mind where we're putting this content and, what does work there, what fits well with that type of place, what content does do well over there, and actually make those shifts appropriately to make sure it is actually giving it the best shot possible there. So an example of where this does work, if, for example, and I've done this before, as you can see on my YouTube channel if you look over there, I have shared reels, which I have filmed for Instagram mainly, to YouTube Shorts. But the reason why this does actually work for me over there is because this is an extra only. It's not my main piece of content. If I was only posting those shorts to YouTube, they don't do the best. That's just a fact, because they were designed for Instagram. They're not designed with YouTube Shorts in mind. They don't do the best, but they're just an extra piece on top of this type of content you're seeing. So you're still seeing my videos, which I'm putting out, the longer form content, but it's just an extra piece in between sprinkled there. So it works quite nicely there because it's not the main content. I'm not trying to use that for growing. It's just an extra thing for people who do find me through YouTube, for people who are brand new subscribers and brand new people in my audience from YouTube specifically who maybe haven't seen my Instagram content. It's really, really helpful for them to just have that extra piece of content to consume. So it doesn't do any harm there, and it can actually be really helpful there. Another example where this works and where I've done this is repurposing Instagram captions to emails. I think this is one where it can work really well or it can flop really badly. And oftentimes when it flops really badly, the reason why is because people are just taking anything and everything and just copy, paste, done into an email. The way I would always say to approach that is look at what actually fits the environment you're going into. So for me personally, my email list, I used to a lot of storytelling aspects. So I will only pick specific captions that have that storytelling aspect that my email list is really used to. So it's content that does actually cross over really nicely and does actually reach that platform really nicely and does speak to people there, because again, I have a lot of people who are on my email list but don't follow me on Instagram, and they are slightly different audiences. So it's really helpful for me there to just think about what does actually fit that environment well. And there will be pieces I will change slightly. I'll change some start pieces. I'll change the end part of that. I'll change, some aspects which you don't then see with the carousel, because there isn't a carousel on the email list. So it's really important just to make sure it's really specifically just appropriate for where you're wanting to put that piece of content, and actually making sure that you are, doing something which does work really well for that specific platform. So as a little summary for that then, should you post the same content on more than one social media platform? The answer is no a lot of the time for the exact same content. Yes, you should be switching it up. Yes, you should be looking at how can I make it more appropriate for this. Oftentimes though, that is so much simpler than you think and can just be a really, really easy shift for you to be making with your new content. So it doesn't need to be something which is a lot, and you can actually add a second platform really nicely and easily by just looking at how can I just make those small shifts just to make it fit that platform a little bit more.